God's silence. These things thou hast done, and I keep silence. Thou thoughtest I was altogether such a one as thyself, but I will reprove thee, and set them in order before thine eyes. Psalm 50:21. I've known people who felt they could do whatever they wanted and get away with it, because they weren't punished right away. If what I'm doing is so bad, why hasn't God punished me and been quiet about it all these years, they boast. Perhaps you know people like that as well. Ever wonder how to answer that question? Today's scripture is a very good place to begin. You see, there are two very significant areas to remember about God's apparent silence. The first has to do with what his silence doesn't mean. As stated in today's text, people have a tendency to believe that God is just like them. Therefore, God's silence, or his lack of instant judgment, must mean that he is approving or winking at their ways. You see, man is very lenient toward himself, and therefore thinks God will also be tolerant of his sin. However, it is not like that at all. God's silence doesn't mean that he is thinking like us. What his silence does mean is that he is patient and long-suffering. According to this scripture, one might say he is quietly taking notes. One day he will reprove the sinner and set his sin before his eyes. This military type of phrase means that on Judgment Day, the sinner's transgressions will march in unison toward him like a mighty army. There will be no one to spare him on that day. Puts a little different light on things, doesn't it? His ways are not our ways. He does not think like we do. He is not lenient towards sin, considering the cost to deliver us from sin. Keep this in mind the next time you run into someone who thinks God's silence is a good thing. This devotional was taken from Steve Hill's book, Daily Awakenings, and I hope you have a blessed day. Hang in there.